One last time, Soroosh.
So dramatic, man.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling nervous, but also excited.
I'm just happy we're here again. It's been a while since we recorded like this. Been missing it, actually. And yeah, man. Different. Recording without you is different.
Hello, and welcome to Hearts Wide Open, the Man's Health Podcast.
The 50th episode of this podcast. It's been 2 years.
Yeah, wow.
It's been a long time, huh? And we're back with Suroosh. Welcome back.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be back.
So this is a very special episode. We're your hosts, and Suroosh. Thank you for tuning in again to redefine what it means to be a man together with us. Today we'll be talking about a spicy topic about this podcast,
Wow.
which is actually coming to an end or moving to another stage. We're going to talk about the future of us and possibly the podcast, and just do a little bit of a check-in as well and see what's out there and what comes up. But before we jump into today's episode, just a reminder on how you can support the podcast. If you're a fan of the show, please do remember to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure to follow us on Instagram. And this one is especially important because we're going to have some updates for you. We don't have them ready yet, so you're going to have to follow the Instagram to stay tuned on all things Hearts Wide Open, what's coming up in the future, when we're back, and all these things. But we're going to jump into that in a bit. So, Suroosh.
Yes, sir.
You're back.
Yes.
Where have you been, brother?
Where have you been all my life? I have been on a journey of self-discovery. Maybe those are big words, but yeah, but also true. The last episode I was here, I think it was the New Year's episode, which I declare that I still remember 2024, man. What a year. And it's true. 24 was a difficult year for me personally, good and bad. I fell in love again. I got a good position at work. I got my Dutch passport finally, got my driving license. Good things were happening, but also there was things boiling and coming up in the inside that made it kind of difficult for me to deal with life all at once, especially all handling the work situation with the relationship. I've been just trying to find a path to handle that, and that's where I have been in the last 6 months. Yeah, I feel like toward the end of the year I discovered the problems, and in the last few months I tried to fix it, but I felt like it didn't work out the way it should have. But yeah, that's just also life. You don't always get what you want, but that's also okay.
Mm.
Yeah. Now I'm more looking positively into the future. Let's put it like that.
From what I understand, you're also still in the middle of some of these things. And I remember also around the New Year's episode, we had a talk. And you also mentioned to me that, yeah, you'd like to take a step back to deal with your stuff. You're not really ready to talk about all these things that are ongoing right now in a reflected manner that would benefit the listeners or even yourself, because you haven't had it figured out for yourself, right? And sometimes I think it helps to talk also in the messy times, but it's different on the podcast because there's also cameras, microphones. It's not the most natural setting, although we do always try to be authentic here. I'm super happy that you are back today. If you saw the episode title, you saw that Hearts Wide Open is over. And it is kind of over because one era has come to an end. We made the 2-year mark, 50 episodes, actually exactly 2 years to the month. is when we started 2 years ago. And we've had so many really cool conversations with each other during the podcast, before, outside of this space as well. We've had amazing guests. We've learned so much about, well, podcasting, but also about ourselves. And we're going to talk about that in a sec. For everyone who's been clicking on this episode because they thought, oh my God, you guys are stopping. What's happened? It's not fully over. Hearts Wide Open will continue. We are going on a summer break. We're going to use this break to modernize. We are investing in some new equipment. We're getting an actual studio. We're going to have a lot of new cool concepts, more of a living room feeling, and more cool guests. Just a lot of cool things happening, a lot of new initiatives, a lot of new partnerships. So stay tuned. Make sure to follow us on the Instagram, because that's where we're going to update you on all these things. Soroosh, we are here also to discuss a little bit about this whole journey of 2 years. This one's a little bit different because, yeah, it's your last time as a host here. I have a couple of questions that we can reflect on together and that I'd love you to answer. So how has Hearts Wide Open helped you, or what did you learn thanks to Hearts Wide Open?
The biggest way it has helped me first to be able to be vocal about what I have to say, just through this form of podcasting and being able to express my emotions and that how I feel without being ashamed of it. Even though sometimes I felt like it was difficult, like outside of the camera to friends or where you actually feel judged. Because now we're talking to the camera and really there's no one behind the camera, even though people are listening. But sometimes I do still feel like when it actually someone else is sitting on the other side, there is still a little bit more fear. But for sure, podcasting has helped me to be more vocal and yeah, just being able to say how I feel. That's one way. It has brought a lot of good connections for me. The people I met on the way through the events or running or just going to a cafe and saying we do this podcast about men's mental health and people being curious about it because it's a topic that is close to my heart. And I always had good conversations with people. And just this deep exploration of topics that we did, right? I remember talking about attachment theory, talking about self-expression, the episode that we painted, and we were just talking. And I felt like not that I'm a psychologist or anything, but I felt that I got a grasp of what is trauma, how can you deal with it, how breath work helps, how to be more mindful of your life, how to live a life with more intention, and how to be more vulnerable, how to listen to people. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it was too much because then I would go too deep in my thoughts on a topic, trying to analyze my life and myself. I think it's a tendency that I have. Always good to also do this kind of thing with a professional or a therapist. But for sure, it expanded my knowledge, and I'm happy for that.
The last thing you said, I think, is really a skill also, to find the balance of when am I over analyzing stuff that I'm going through, when am I getting into a loop or stuck somewhere. I fully agree also that talking to people online over the past 2 years has made both of us, like you mentioned, actually experience stuff that we might have not experienced, work on ourselves when we didn't feel like working on ourselves, you know. In that sense, it's the same thing for me.
Yeah, what has been it for you actually?
Wow, definitely also being more vocal, and probably also increase my ability to speak about my feelings and expressing myself. With that, also given me the confidence to do this not only here, but also in life, like open up more to friends I encounter in life. It doesn't matter who, like friends, family, strangers. I think when we show vulnerability, that's also when we can find a place to connect. Because if you truly show yourself, you can connect with another person. You see things that you can connect over, rather than when you're putting this mask on and you're just like trying to be cool or whatever. It's not you, so it's really hard to connect with that. I think a lot of genuine connections happened the past 2 years also thanks to my ability to open up more. I think that's maybe the biggest one for me, because yeah, then also halfway through doing this, I met my girlfriend, and that dating experience has been nothing but amazing. Just being able to talk with her, being vulnerable with her, and that's okay. That's just been so valuable to me, and the podcast helped me with that.
It's very good to hear.
So much that we got booked for giving a workshop to a bunch of men very soon, huh?
True.
Gonna update you as well towards the end of this episode if you like to hear about that. But Soroosh, I have more questions. So let's go back 2 years. I know you like to talk about Soroosh from 2 years, 3 years ago, childhood Soroosh. If you listen to some of our episodes, you know what I'm talking about. So Soroosh, if you compare yourself now versus 2 years ago, how have you grown or how have you changed?
The biggest way I have changed is probably that I'm more okay with sitting with my emotions, especially the hard ones, the sadness, the loneliness, the heavy emotion, being rejected, anger. I feel I'm more okay sitting with them. Whereas 2 years ago, I would feel lonely and then I would try to find a way immediately on how to not be lonely, being YouTube or calling a friend, calling parents, just going out. Now I'm feeling that loneliness is telling you something, right? And there's no need to run away from it. I feel like, what are you running away from? You know, like this question at some point really got triggered in my head that why would you ever feel lonely if you have yourself? And this kind of brought me to a whole path of meditating and just sitting there and closing my eyes and being with myself in different times. Like I would go back to my childhood and be with that kid. And then you find that that feeling that now you're running away from comes from back then. That child didn't want to feel that, so he did something because he didn't know better. But now that I know better, I would sit with him and I will feel with him his loneliness. And I assure him that it's okay. It's very difficult. And I'm still on that path, but the moment you realize you're never alone, you're always home with yourself. Wherever you go, you are home. Same as anger, same as rejection. Why does this rejection hurts you? Let's just close our eyes and sit with that emotion. Why do I feel hurt? Where is that part of me that feel rejected and hurt? And can I be with it? Which is difficult, but I think it's the way to feel rather than 2 years ago I would think, why am I feeling rejected? Why am I feeling lonely? Why this, why that? And your brain is a master at coming up with whys. Oh, maybe it's because Dennis said this. Oh, maybe because I'm not good enough. Then you go into this rabbit hole of thinking and thinking and thinking, which in fact, the mind created the problem. This is a problem that is created in your head most of the time.
How do you mean?
This feeling of loneliness, it's like a alarm raised because somewhere as a child you felt alone or rejected or not wanted. And now when I text you and I say, hey, thank you for the invite, but I don't want to come to this event, a part of you feels rejected, which is that kid, you know, and that's ingrained in your brain. So that gets triggered. But whatever creates the problems cannot create the solution. So if the mind creates the problem, it cannot also give you the solution. And what I found is the solution is in the heart and to feel it. Yeah. Are you okay?
Yeah, that's wow. That's really wow. I'm uh, I'm so proud of you because when we do feel these emotions like anger, loneliness, this negative stuff, often we are in fight, flight, or freeze. So all alarm bells are ringing, and then to be able to then sit with it, calm down, and see it for what it is, with the heart, giving compassion to yourself, to your child self, to all the selves you are. That really shows that you also understand and you develop a new level of self-awareness that now helps you to deal with the stuff that you face in life because you're always gonna face shit, you know.
And when you are in this fight or flight mode, then it becomes difficult because then your brain is trying to survive. So I just remember myself like a couple months ago, then I pick up on everything my friends or my ex-girlfriend or my work would say, because my brain was like, danger, danger. Back then, if I had the skills of calming myself down, maybe I wouldn't have entered this state of fight or flight. Then I could have detached from the situation to connect with myself. What is my core and how can I handle myself and what's within me? I will detach. I will hug myself, take care of me, take a deep breath. And of course, you can also use help or talk to people, but you can contain your fire. Then you go back to the situation with less ego, because your ego is trying to protect you. And then then you see, like looking back in the last few months, I'm just seeing my actions and my reaction, and I'm like, wow, how triggered I was to be able to get to that level. I do feel sorry for myself and that I couldn't and I didn't have the ability to control it. But yeah, I also forgive myself for that.
Thank you for sharing this
You're
part.
welcome.
I do. I can really relate to everything you said. I feel like we've somewhat also been on a similar journey. I mean, when we started this 2 years ago, we were also both going through a crisis. Then I went through another crisis. Now you're in another crisis, or you're getting out of it slowly. That's also something, right? It's just crisis after crisis after crisis, but we also have the times in between the crisis. How is it for you, like when you now deal with stuff? Do you feel like it's getting better when you get a new crisis facing you, or like,
I tried not to get into crisis situation right now.
you can't avoid it always?
Not always, no, but you need to be very connected with yourself. And I'm still a little bit on that path that I don't want to take too big of a problems to handle. You always have difficulties that you're gonna face in your life. And I can tell you right now how to face it, but that's not gonna work because yeah, it's the future. And I think we shouldn't even talk about it. If you have enough trust in yourself and your abilities, you will be able to handle it. And even if you can't, you will come out of it as a better person.
So crisis might get bigger, but you're more equipped to also deal with bigger things. We got this. We got this. Fuck yeah. I was also wondering, since we're looking back, what are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of the events that I did actually, because I really enjoyed it. For me, I still like doing podcasts because there's something about vocalizing things for me that it just comes out, and I'm a vocal person, and yeah, being vocal is the way I express myself. But there's also like an extra essence of having someone on the other side of the table that you can see their eyes, see what kind of emotions they are going through, and being able to be there in that moment for me really creates some sort of magic. We did, I think, 4 or 5 events in November, and I really enjoyed it.
Bringing people together.
Yeah, and create a shared experience where people can feel something. I feel like there's a magic to that. Every time I saw feedback, really, really opened up my heart. Like when you say, "Oh, I listened to this episode and it really helped me," or "I sent this to my boyfriend," or "That thing that you said, I did it." Every time someone gave us a feedback like that, I was like, "Yeah, okay, this is amazing."
Yeah, I'm also was time and time again surprised by people also just approaching, saying, "Hey, yeah, remember you talked about this on that episode? Like, it really helped me." Wow. Yeah, I'm super proud as well. Like that we've done this 2 years,
Yeah,
every month, 2 episodes, 50 total.
I remember doing 50 episode was one of your
Yeah,
dreams at the
yeah.
beginning.
That was one. Like, no, the first dream was or goal was to like do 10.
Yeah.
Then I wanted to do 25.
Yeah.
Then I was like, okay, 50. And now I'm going to sit down and see what will be my next goal with the podcast, as you're taking more of a different role. Maybe you want to speak about that, because we also have some exciting news coming up in September.
Sure. Well, certainly, um, you would. see me less on the podcast because I believe that's something that Dennis is more excited about. He really likes to talk into the mic and create this sort of experience for people. I'm personally, as I mentioned, I really like this magic of being in present with people, and also the workshop and classes that we did before. And we're gonna also do that for some men in September. I think there's a beautiful part about sharing how you feel. In 2 weeks, I'm going to a mosaic making workshop because life is a mosaic of everything that happens to you in your life. And what's beautiful about it that you can break it. You can break a mosaic and put the pieces like little by little together. And these pieces don't make sense until you finish the whole thing. And then you look back and like, oh, now I see what I have created and it's beautiful. I would love to create experiences like this. So if you are listening to this episode and you're curious about this kind of experiences that you want to have, being storytelling, painting, mosaic workshop, whatever that you want to do, maybe you want to join, just drop us a message on Instagram or our email. And we would love to organize more of this kind of workshops. And that's what I will be doing more.
You can actually subscribe to our newsletter. There's nothing set up in the background of this yet, but we are collecting email addresses so that in the future we can update you, and then you'll also see when there's workshops coming up. From now on, we offer workshops as we have tried throughout November, and now also in September we got another one coming up. We do offer workshops for men, for mixed groups as well, on anything related to mental health, like Soroosh mentioned. There's self-expression, like different ways to express yourself, visualization, but also just sharing circles. So if you would like to join a workshop, subscribe to our email newsletter. And if you'd like to book us for a tailored workshop to your needs, we have a whole catalog full of cool workshops that we can do and tailor to your needs. And yeah, we'd love to speak to you. We go to companies, we do team workshops, we can come to your birthday party. We just want to connect people and make a difference. Soroosh is going to be in the driver's seat of that. So that's where you're going.
That's where I'm going.
So I just saw you were sitting on the balcony looking at the episodes we did together. What was your favorite episode and why?
I think a few episodes I really liked. One of them was the first guest episode we had with Anil, and it was just fascinating how we found him on the metro after this Fredingen concert, and we started talking. Whenever I run, I think about him. Shout out to you, Anil, if you're watching this. My inner dialogue when I run and it becomes difficult is, I got this.
Mm.
You know, when you start breathing heavy, I tell myself that I got this, and I got this. And I remember we talked about this on that episode. Check it out if you haven't listened to it. I enjoyed the episode we painted together because that was, yeah, a little wild. And I like wild things. I like the episode we talked about vulnerability.
Mm.
That was for sure very interesting. I really enjoyed that one. When we had Priscilla, I think back then I couldn't connect with a lot of things she would say, but now I can, which is also fascinating for me. And I was talking to Dennis actually that I feel like I have to go re-listen to some of the episode that we recorded to just see how my view of the world changed. Because I remember whenever we also shout out to Priscilla, whenever we talk with her, she says that the problem is that you're not connected with the self. If you sit down and you connect with yourself, then you can solve everything. And now I get it, man. I finally get it.
That's crazy how sometimes you listen to yourself again, you're like, really? I said that? And now I really understand it. Even things that I said myself, I now only understand it fully, or not even.
What was your favorite episode?
So many come to mind, but I definitely like the one with Leon, because we were sitting there and then we were kind of like, okay, let's do the podcast. In the beginning, a lot of time, I don't know how today I feel so secure here with everything and with you. But I remember that normally the first 10 minutes we're like kind of juggling around, and then we finally get into a flow. And with Leon, I feel like we were doing this like blah, blah, blah. And then he said something, and then all of a sudden we were fully there, like just by saying one thing. And he kind of brought our awareness and like presence up. and I found that really really cool. I also loved the first couple 3-4 episodes when we really had no idea what we're doing. And I Can Buy Myself Flowers, episode number 2, still one of our most successful episodes. And we were just sitting there like little kids with our little one mic, yeah, talking about self love. And this is also an episode I'm still getting feedback on during a talk that I did for Hearts Wide Open. They even gave me flowers because they listened to the episode and they're like, here you go. We also got you flowers. Also, time before and after recording, like we always record for half hour, 45 minutes. But before that, we hang out for an hour. After that, we always hang out for an hour. So it's also like, it's a whole thing.
Ritual.
It's a whole ritual. And this is something that I enjoy for all the episodes, even though sometimes I was not in the mood. Sometimes you were not in the mood. Sometimes like we were not present or we went in and out to be present and not to be present. This is also all just human. And we never claim that we're the masters of anything, but we are getting better at everything. We also talked about being present just before this and how then I think you said you wanted to be present if possible always. And then I was like, yeah, but sometimes you're just not. And
That's okay. For sure, last year, I wasn't present in a lot of moments, and that saddens me a little bit. And I feel like there's a lot of people living their life actually like that, which makes me more sad. And nowadays, I'm not present all the time for sure, but there are little moments as short as 10 seconds on a walk that I become aware that I'm thinking and I let it go and I fully merge into the present. And it's such a pleasure that honestly, I cannot explain it. That I'm like, wow, I want this. Short as 10 seconds. But it's just such a relief. And I felt like, wow, with work and relationship and even sometimes with friends, I was just in my head. And at some point, I was like, this is not how I'm going to live this life. And maybe that's also the difference. Now I'm sitting here fully present with you.
I can feel the difference.
Yeah. There's a world of difference. I would, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Like, I would go out now with friends and I'm present and it's different. Like, scales are, you cannot compare it. And it's just like, wow, can we be in this state?
Our yoga teacher Priscilla also told me this, like, have a ritual to make sure you're at least present for a tiny bit every day so that that feeling is known to you, and this will also fuel your entire day because you'll be more present if you have a 2 minute 5 minute ritual in the morning. She goes on the mat every morning and she does her whatever she does, and that gives her energy for the whole day to be more present.
I was thinking about this actually today in the form of, I felt like this was kind of what religion was supposed to bring to humanity, to kind of connect to yourself and a higher power, if you believe in that. But in those moments that you go to church, or the moments like in Islam, you pray 5 times a day, those are the moments that you truly disconnect from the world, go within, and just be there. But we lost that somewhere on the way in our smartphone. And go check out the Social Dilemma episode. That was also a good one. Yeah, and now I'm just on a mission to be more mindful, to be honest.
Hmm. Everything we just talked about makes me want to get more back on track with my own routine. There's been a lot of change in my life in the past few months, like moving. I'm back in the same house, but I was moving back here and starting life with my girlfriend, making a lot of changes also professional. And yes, I think this being in the presence is sometimes more in the background for me because I'm just doing things. And so yeah, this also again proves it to me and inspires me to get back on track with it in a more consistent manner.
I'm happy to hear that. And it doesn't have to be meditation, or people who are listening, if do whatever that you believe, it just brings you into that moment. It can be a hobby, it can be writing, it can be singing, it can be running, meditating, whatever. But have something, a few minutes at least during the day, that you can just be there, just fully there.
If you're looking for inspiration, we've tried a lot of things and talked about them as well on the podcast. Just listen through some episodes, and there's all the stuff that we tried. And if you have any questions, do reach out because we're responding to all the messages. We already discussed your role for Hearts Wide Open in the future, so you will see Soroosh back, just in a different role. We're working on some formats where we also have a bit of a more living room feeling and discussion place about different topics. So I hope Soroosh will be guest there as well in some interesting rounds. Gonna see who I can partner up with, like that we can have a nice conversation. Yeah, one thing I would like to ask is, uh, what does it mean to be a healthy man, Soroosh?
Back to the first question.
And I'm asking this question again because it can change.
I don't know, what is a healthy man? I honestly think, who am I to label who is healthy and who is unhealthy? I just think, I don't think, I believe that still a part of what I said is also like kind of a representation of my tattoo to the camera. I don't know if you see it, but if you're just listening, it's a dragon that is protecting a sword, and the sword is also wrapped around the flower. And it represents that it's like a part of me that I can be protective like a dragon, or soft and loving like a flower, and nurturing. Maybe you can connect this with like a energy of masculinity and like femininity. I think a healthy human for me is someone that is comfortable exploring this range of energy. I think a healthy human is someone that they are okay sitting down with themselves, that you're okay with, that you allow yourself, really, just feel this word, allow yourself to feel the emotion and being able to process it within you. This is what emotional intelligence is. If you're able to feel the emotions and process it in a way within yourself, then maybe you wouldn't go outside and be angry at the world, you know? Because you know there's something else that is really bothering you. There's something else that is hurting inside there, but you're ignoring it and you're angry at the world and everyone around you. Just sit with it, hug it, allow it to feel, and then try to contain it. Because if you don't allow yourself to do that, other people can't really do that for you. They can momentarily put some water on the fire, but it's going to come back. So I think we need to learn this skill of how to regulate our emotions in a healthy way, not with drugs and alcohol. And I don't want to say healthy or unhealthy. I think this is a blessing, really, if you're able to have these skills. And they are really skills that you can learn. I don't think this is like something you are born with. Maybe some people are. But if you're listening to this, you can learn all the skills. Yeah, I think that's what a human, if it has those, it has like these blessings. But I wouldn't want to say what's a healthy or unhealthy, because I don't see myself in that position.
We've asked so many people this question, including ourselves, and now after episode 50 or at episode 50, we actually come to the realization that that's maybe not the question to ask, but that's also a bit where we started, right? Like we also had an idea that we came into this with, like, this is what a man should be, this is what a woman should be, and throughout this whole journey kind of broke those boxes, ripped them apart, put everything in one basket, and then this idea of what's a healthy human. Like a few guests have said, I prefer saying healthy human, not healthy man. That's also why we asked this question, to break up those stereotypes, get different points of views, and by having all these different points of views, we realize there's no one right answer to this question. And it's not healthy man, healthy woman. It's just a healthy person.
And this is why sometimes I don't say healthy or unhealthy, or sometimes it bothers me or really hurts me when I talk about the podcast that we do this for men. Especially when I talk to girls, there's a lot of men need this, or a lot of my boyfriends, I send them to therapy, and I feel like this hurts a part of me because
A lot of my boyfriends, I send them to therapy. That's crazy. Yeah, but that's crazy.
it doesn't matter. Hearing this, I feel like there is a guard against men, and sometimes this personally hurt me because we have this movement of feminism in the world, in Iran, and that's beautiful. But I feel like there's a big aspect that it's not talked about, that after the traditional role of woman has changed and then we have the feminist movement, it's really a question of what is masculinity and what is a man that people don't talk about. This is not really addressed. The man in their traditional roles are not accepted. And I feel like we also are not giving this man a chance. And instead of coming from a kind, loving way, I always look at my father. Like, I could be angry at this man for the rest of my life, but at some point you look at the person, their past. Can they change? What's the background? And are you able to be compassionate for the person? Then the question starts, because you have to also, yeah, if you also need this man who can be vulnerable and emotional, you also need to be a woman that can handle this.
You can also open the space and help
Yeah,
men process their feelings, you know, make them feel like they matter, that they don't just have to provide, but that their feelings are also allowed. It's not just men needing to work on themselves, you know, it's always the two sides of the coin. If you are a woman listening to this, you can also make a difference. Don't just send your boyfriend to therapy or make them listen to this podcast, but also listen yourself and work on things together, because I think in relationships, the craziest things come out, especially between like this man woman relationship. And that's when there's huge opportunity to grow together and learn, and yeah, no matter if the relationship in the end works out or not, you can still grow and learn throughout it. And as you said, like there's a huge role for everyone to play in this. Unhealthy man has a bad impact on everyone around him, and the healthy man has a positive impact. Not healthy, but healthier man, you know, like someone who is not like, you know, because a lot of men, I think, feel rejected when they're struggling. You know, you're struggling, you're weak, we don't want to talk about you, we don't accept you because you should be able to handle your shit. And then they channel this stuff into not necessarily the most healthy things, because they feel rejected by society for just being a man and having feelings or whatever, struggling. And then they make their priorities shift, and they're like, okay, I'm going to prove everyone wrong by becoming the richest person in the country, and they do whatever necessary to get there. Or I'm going to prove you all wrong by becoming the president of this country, and I'm going to like show you how great I am, you know. I think this one president that everyone thinks of right now, probably, he had a huge issue with his father, with his mother, like completely broken relationships, and no one ever helped this man. And look at him now. You know, if you actually look at the way that some world leaders, Putin, grew up, and where what like his history, how he actually climbed that ladder to reach where he is now, it's crazy. Like this guy has gone through shit when he was a kid. You know, he had, I don't know, 18 siblings. They're all dead. He's the one surviving guy. He's at the top of the pyramid in that country. And he's now like, okay, I'm going to show the world. I'm going to, you know, before I die, I'm going to mess some things up. You know, I'm going to show you. And then, yeah, I think all those people are broken, and I cannot travel to Russia again, bro. But all these men are also broken in a way, and they never went like this healing path. They had no one around them to actually like make space for those feelings they had, and now they're engaging in this kind of stuff. And there's so many of these out there. So try to be empathetic with your man. With that little rant towards the end, I don't know if we always were able to strike the right balance between soft and deep. Sometimes these moments happen where we just go all out and then it becomes emotional. But
it's hearts wide open.
that's what Hearts Wide Open is about. So, Surush, what's your wish for the audience, for Hearts Wide Open? For like, what's your wish right now before we end this episode?
Accept yourself the way you are and let life happen for you from there. To love yourself wherever you are, however you are feeling. If you're sad, if you're depressed, if you're happy, if you're angry, if you're fucked up, that's you, and that's okay. And when you're able to get that person and hug him and just be with him, the rest will happen. I promise you, life will become better. Yeah, things will happen to you.
Beautiful. And things will happen to this podcast too. Thank you, Surush, for being here. Again, please make sure to subscribe to our show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. We are everywhere. Also follow on Instagram and subscribe to our email newsletter. I know there's a lot of things to do, but really do those things, because that way you definitely won't miss out on the next episode, which will be, I don't know when, maybe 2-3 months from now. We're doing the summer break. Let's see how much time it takes to renovate the studio and everything. So that way you'll be updated, and you'll also know if there's any workshops happening in your area that you could join. And that's been it for now. Thanks for tuning in again, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you, Surush.